Today we're building a subwoofer enclosure for a 2023 Cadillac Escalade ESV. If you don't know, that's just the regular Cadillac, but it's the longer one, so it's a more luxurious one, so you get a little more space in the back. The good thing with us is we have plenty of space for a subwoofer enclosure. Don't want to take up too much space, but we still have a lot more to work with than if it was a shorter one. Now, we've already went through and took all our measurements in the vehicle and see what kind of space we have, talked to the client, figure how much space he wanted to use up, and we designed the subwoofer enclosure. So now we're going through and cutting all our woods to spec. If you see the little GoPro camera in the corner, it's a little knockoff one, but we got it so we can show you a little bird's eye view of what I'm doing, first person view. So right now I'm applying some template tape. What this is going to do is allow me to stick this template to the baffle. That way when we go to cut a cutout for the subwoofer, everything is going to be nice and perfect. Peeling it off gets to be kind of fun sometimes. Thumbnails don't survive very long. But there's a little indexing mark at the top here. And I'm going to align the top and the bottom, make sure I'm happy with it. And then once I do, I'm going to press down on it nice and firmly, make sure it's all set. And there we go. Okay, we're gonna reach over and grab our drill. We're gonna drill a 1/4 inch drill because we're gonna use a 1/4 inch spiral cut trim bit in our router. So then I wobble it out a little bit. Now we're gonna take it over to the router. All right, now as we push it in the hole, turn the vacuum on, make sure the vacuum's running. Reach down and pull out the insert. It's a little difficult with the vacuum on, but we do that and clean up all the edges in case everything wasn't perfect. And vacuum off. All right, pry that off, set to the side, peel up this template tape. Sometimes it sticks really tight, and the best way, once you get one piece off, you can stick it to the other tape and it peels right off. And then rinse and repeat on the second side. And stick it down. It's my first time using the little GoPro, so that's what you see in the screen keeps flipping up. And now we're going to glue the baffle. Now I find that when I put glue on stuff, I try to keep the glue as flat as possible because it is very runny and it will run over and smear everything. So it's never a good fun thing to do to clean up a glue mess. So once again, I start on one side, get it all solid, knocked in place. Go grab a rag because I got too much glue. Down the middle and on the base of it. Right, now, one more thing before I put the other side on. I've done this before, but I'm drilling now a hole to send the speaker wire across because this is easier to do it now when I can still have full access to it. If not, you can still go through the drill the hole through the porthole, but it's a little rougher. All right, gotta brad nail this guy in. And what I'm doing now is I'm using the router to make a little groove, so when we put carpet on it, it tucks in nicely. Now we're using the laser to make a cool custom panel for the back end, advertised for his brand and ours, but this one's just going to be for him. Just want to show you a close-up what the laser looks like as it's going through. All right, so this is the piece we just cut. What I'm going to do, this little trim ring is going to round it. I'll explain that here later. But I'm going to weed out all the letters first, and then I'm going to paint that silver. All right, so we're already there. We'll grab a bright silver color paint. And I can go nice and heavy. Doesn't really matter because you can't really run it because you're spraying on a flat surface, and the surface, the touching it's the best part. Now, after probably 10 minutes or so of it drying, we're going to go by and peel off all of the remaining. Steady hand really helps here. Then we're going to paint this black. So just a cheap black paint, doesn't matter. We're going to cover the whole thing, edges and everything. Make sure it's nice and solid.
So a lot of this video has been B-roll footage, but I want to chime in here and say what's going on. All right, so this is going to be the placard on the back box, so I haven't already narrated it, whatnot. There's going to be a piece of carpet that rolls around and tucks it, just gives me an emboss. That way when this sits in it, it'll sit there nice and tight. Now, as you saw earlier, I painted all this silver, and then I painted black behind it, and I was very heavy on the paint because I didn't want to have to do it again. It doesn't worry about running because I'm spraying it flat where it's at. So, get a little pretty look. So this is cool. And when you paint it from the backside, the best thing is it's smooth. It looks like you did magic, but really it's just from the backside. So I I scored it and cut the paper out, painted it the first time in silver. And then after painting it in silver, we went back and painted black and finished off. Also, I wrapped all the edges in black. So it should be good. Now we're gonna go through and paint the bottom side of this enclosure black because it's really kind of a pain in the butt to try to carpet on that side. I've already went through and notched all this out. There'll be a separate carpet slot that will tucks right in here, makes it nice. This will be wedged against the panel, so you won't see any of this. This is gonna be used a lot, but basically on the side, that's where that will sit. So time to get to work. Now that everything's painted, I'll give you a heads up. So in case you have any questions, the reason why I painted around here is when the carpet tucks in, there's a chance that you might see it. So just as a precaution, I like to spray a layer of paint all the way around there, or paintbrush, different things. Most of the time when we do like a porta box, we'll put spray paint on it. But the only reason when we use regular brush paint, latex paint on this is because it's so large. It doesn't make sense to use a spray paint can. You're gonna use way more on that. This gets a little faster coverage. I just kind of like the way it lays out. But in a port with a box, it doesn't make sense. And I'm just using standard paint from Home Depot, nothing special, just cheap interior black latex paint. Okay, so we've got the enclosure finished being built. Got a couple hours to dry on it just because we had some busy doing some other things. Now, we've already painted the underside because this is just gonna be black. It just makes it really difficult to wrap carpet on this for something you're not gonna really see. Next thing we have is this little trim ring here. So what this will do, I've already marked it out, layout where it's gonna go. Once it's in place, we're gonna glue it down and apply the carpet. The carpet will go over this and have this nice little recess. And this will go right in place. So this is the little piece we were painting earlier, just a piece of 1/8 inch thin acrylic. This is 1/4 inch, and the difference in thicknesses, once we have the carpet in here, it'll pull the inside piece higher. Sorry, I can't talk today. But anyways, it'll lift it up a little higher. This way it'll sit flush. Because if these are both 1/4 inch, it just sits all cattywampus and it doesn't look right. So we're gonna get going. We're gonna put a bead of glue down here. Not a little too crazy. If you go too nuts, it makes it more difficult. It's not as big of a deal when you do carpet, but when it comes to vinyl gets to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. So we got that. It's always important to draw your lines ahead of time to make sure you know exactly where you're going. All right, so I got a nice squish. And I'm gonna hit it with some accelerator. I don't necessarily need to do this, but I want to make sure it's solid. And I have way too many cans of accelerators, so I need to use some up. Yeah, if the one problem you get with this, if you go do this with a thin ring, I just did a 1/2 inch. If you're pressing it too much, you'll distort the shape. And then when you go put this in here, it won't sit right. So I was actually good at this, didn't do it too much. We'll pop that back up. I also made a small gap between these two, so there is a little slop, but that's to compensate for the carpet. Once the carpet tucks in there, it'll take up that, it'll still be a nice press fit. We can glue them down if we want, but I like it when I can do a press fit. It lets me know that I did it the right way. This is automotive grade trunk liner, contact cement. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna spray it on this side of the carpet, and then we're gonna set it to the side. Then we'll spray the contact cement on the wood, and then we'll give it probably 15 minutes or so, maybe not that long because it's kind of hot and humid today. It'll flash, dry the touch, then we'll be able to contact them together. The thing with contact adhesive, it doesn't stick until you put pressure. So here we go. What I'm using is just a regular cheap paint gun from Harbor Freight. And I set it up to spray like a water hose so I don't spend all day spraying. These guns will usually last me 3 months or so, just depends how often. Actually, if I use it more often, it doesn't dry up, so I can actually get longer out the more projects I use. All right, that's all good. Set that down. Go out of the shot for a second. Now we'll shoot this side. I can spin this around. Now, the big things to pay attention on when you're doing this is the places where the tension is going to be the strongest. So right along here, around the corners, inside and outside. Now, if it's on the inside, it does need to be strong, but the new piece of acrylic is going to press pretty tightly against it. So I usually start there first. I'm not worried about the bottom because the bottom is not going to get painted. So that's actually one of the reasons why I set it up this way. We might have a little bit of overspray on the black, but once again, we have black paint. We'll touch it up, make it easy. One of the things I'm going to put a lot of focus on is the little gap here on the side, like earlier when we were painting it, in case you see through it. But I also want to make sure it's coated because that's where the release, there's less pressure here, so it's less likely to come up. It's more apt to on the corners or anywhere the carpet ends. It's been about 15, 20 minutes. Everything is dry to the touch. Has a slight tack to it, but that's perfect for me. What we're gonna do, bring this over here, and we're gonna lightly position it, because once you start pressing it, the longer it's in place, the stronger it bites. So we wanna make sure it's good there. And this is just a little on the close side. I probably have an extra couple inches I could use, but I like to stretch this as I pull. So what I'll do, I'm gonna start in the middle, the top, and pull toward me. Now that that's fully seated, pull this one out. Let's see, it's starting to get stuck right here. Try and do this and not block the camera is a little difficult. All right, so we're gonna go here, same thing. Lift up, pull, down. Okay, so off camera, I finished the back, pretty simple. I finished one side, I'll show you the other side, how I'm gonna do it, but the fun stuff is on the front. As I make some more noise, this little metal aviation tool I use a lot for taking out dashboards and all that kind of stuff, but I definitely like it for this application because although I stretch this here, carpet's really easy to work with, but this helps me push real hard on it. Sometimes I use the pointed end, and sometimes I use the blunt end. It just kind of helps me get the shape I'm after. So, because I can push in like normal with my fingers, and it looks pretty good, and you don't realize how much better it is until you take the blunt end of this and just kind of work in the corners. Now, when you do this with vinyl, you can't go as deep. The vinyl will tear. Also, it doesn't stretch like this. So a lot of times what I'll do, once I wrap up to here, and I'll leave this intentionally solid, and I'll put a few cuts and slowly let it fall down. Because once the glue touches it, it does not want to come out. So I hold that off. All right. And I'll finish this down here. This on this corner. Okay. Shift this down a little bit. Maybe make this easier to see what I'm going to do on this end. So those grooves I was cutting earlier, the hardest part is this corner because to getting down to it. So I start in the corner and I pull everything at an angle. The smaller the piece, the harder it is to get it to go in. So starting in the corner has been my key to success. Ultimately, better design, but sometimes the design just does not work. Okay, we finished up the box. Don't mind me, I actually went ahead and finished the sides. I had a couple phone calls, and I like to work while I'm on the phone, so I'm completely productive. So what we're gonna do now is my favorite part. I mean, other than listening to the music for sure, but we'll move this out of the way. We're gonna install the acrylic in the front. It's gonna be a press fit. Worst case, if it's a little too loose, what we're gonna do is put some epoxy on the backside and let it dry overnight. So for ease, stand it up on the end. Then start in one corner, center it. And then just kind of press her into place. I do like using a hammers as a pry, just because it's a rubber-ended side. I think this is going to need a little bit of glue just to make sure. Yeah, it's a little bit too loose for my taste, and with the vibrations of the subs, it'll kick out. But I think it looks pretty cool. I know the customer's gonna be happy. I'll put some glue on it, let it dry overnight, and next time you'll see it, it'll be in the car. We're also gonna add a little bit of branding down here to let them know who built this.